Janet Scott from Homegrown Primal. It's so great to see you. Thanks very much for your time. How are you this morning?
I'm really well, thanks, Steve. I am so looking forward to having this conversation with you because I know that we've got a lot of similarities in the way we live our lives. So thank you for the invitation.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time too. And I've got my I've got my kiwi burn here. Actually, I've got my supplements ready here to go. So before I open them, I want to hear a bit more about it because I know I trust you and but I trust the product as well. But I know that I need more fat. So this is why we're having this conversation because I have a business fitter after 40 and the men in my program all trust me with their health into us to a certain degree. And the advice that I can offer them is more so based around what I can refer them onto or suggest to them. I'm not a naturopath or a dietitian. So any of that information that I offer them is literally go and have a look for yourself. But in our program, we do use fasting as a way to remove the fat, clean up the body, detoxify it, and get it ready for some healthier substances or healthier fuels, I should say. So tell me a little bit about your background and really what led you to create supplements.
Okay, so I have been in the fitness industry most of my life. Started teaching aerobics and step aerobics way back when I was 24. I think that's when it all started here in New Zealand, and it's laid the foundation for me to stay fit and healthy, ongoing every decade. So I ticked over to 60 a couple of years ago. So I'm 62 now, and I'm still strong and healthy.
Wow.
And the reason why I wanted to live a long, healthy life was when I flipped over to 50. I was like, okay, so I'm from a long living line of women. My grandmother lived till she was nearly 100, and I want to be strong and fit and healthy, and I want to have my marbles right
Mm.
until I pass. And from my experience, the best thing I needed to do was to stay healthy, to exercise, to eat well. And so my partner and I decided we would go keto. So we would go low carb, high fat, and high protein. And so that was when I just turned 50, and we were keto for about 8 years. I still had a little bit of excess body fat, and I definitely had fatigue. So I had a low grade fatigue that just used to pull me down. I'd be tired. I'd have to drag myself around. I don't know. Most of your viewers probably know what low grade fatigue is. It's like not wanting to get out of bed in the morning and not having that
Mm.
power
Mm.
to keep going. And so friends of ours who love dearly said one day, okay, so we've been keto and now we've gone carnivore. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh my God, what does that actually mean to go carnivore? And so we spent,
Get your spears out and start hunting.
yeah, I had visions
Cool.
of blood dripping down their faces. And so we spent Christmas with them. They live in Queenstown.
Yeah.
Christmas with them one year, and we went total carnivore, and we really haven't looked back. We took out all the plants. So we used to eat a lot of greens and organic vegetables, and they all went, and all the excess carbohydrates went, and um, I couldn't believe it. There was a bit of a battle between the transition because we needed to really transition to using fat as a fuel because we were still using there were still carbs in the diet before. And I think the biggest battle was with my mind. Like I was like, I can't do this. This is wrong, especially with all the pre-programming around food and the food pyramid and how I needed to have a certain amount of vegetables and in my diet, otherwise I was going to die. And the biggest part of the battle was with my mind.
Mm. What was driving
Um,
that though? What was driving that resolve and commitment to change, regardless of what you didn't know what would lay ahead?
I've got a bit of a stubborn streak. I'm going to do this. I'm going to break through
Mm.
because of all the reading and the people that I've followed. That's what I heard, that there was a tough time and then things would change, and they did. And I felt I sort of climbed through the negative battle with my mind and came out the other side, and my body responded. My body was like, you need to do some resistance training, because I could feel like my muscles needed to work. It was quite a bizarre feeling. And then when I started getting on the bike and doing a whole lot more cardio, everything seemed to feel so much easier. And one of the things that went was the low grade fatigue. I would get out of bed in the morning and feel amazing. And then also the quantity of food that I was eating reduced as well. So I lost the extra weight, and life it's great. And we honestly haven't looked back. It's been quite amazing.
That's brilliant. It's so good to hear, especially a woman in the 50s and going up to 60. Now you're in 60, thriving in that part of your journey, regardless of what age you are. Because I know a lot of 60-year-olds who are just buggered, women, but also men, and that's the problem. So what's the average male in New Zealand, the over 40, look like in terms of weight, obesity, energy level? Can you give us a snapshot?
Yeah, I
We're not
can.
far, the ditch isn't too far away. I could throw a stone over there.
I think, if we talk about it, then it's a good thing to it's a good subject, because I think there are two pathways. There are people like me who are going, okay, I need to grab hold of my health and wellness for my ongoing fitness and longevity. And there are the other pathway where people aren't educated. They don't understand why they're aging, they've put on extra weight, their joints hurt, because they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing, right? They're having 5+ a day, they're having all their leafy greens, they're having carbs, because we're told in with the food guidelines that we need to have 70% carbohydrate in our diet. So these people who are taking the other pathway are doing what they think is right. Plus, they are probably drinking alcohol, and because that's okay, isn't it? We're allowed to have a little bit of beer because that's what boys do.
Yeah.
So, and I looked at some statistics yesterday when I was out getting some answers for your questions. There's 1 in 3 men in New Zealand over 40 who are obese.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's huge, because it's 70% in Australia overweight and obese. So yeah, I think it's 25% are obese in Australia, maybe 27. So we're pretty much on par. Crazy.
And so what happens with that, and we'll talk about that in a minute, what happens with their sense of self once they disconnect to their body from their body? So we'll talk about that as we go on.
And what do you think of the common problems that men over 40, and this is my area of interest and expertise as well. What do you think is the common problems that men suffer from? What type of traumas are associated with this change in their body and their sense of being?
Well, I'm not a man, but I can speak for women, and I think women. I think we're all the same. We're animals in this body, and we have life experiences, and we have a sense of self. We have our own sexuality as well, and I think one of my subjects that I've been studying for a long time is sexuality. So I like to speak into that as far as trauma goes. And trauma is a big, heavy word, right? And I believe it's on a scale. So we might be overweight. We might look in the mirror and go, I hate myself, or my body's bad. And then, and that could be trauma, right up to having a major, like being in a disaster. Trauma's the body. So when we're wandering around in these bodies, we're over 50, we're overweight, we're in pain, we're not as beautiful as we used to be. When we look at the society's vision of beauty, we're wrinkled, we're grey, we're old, our muscles are sagging. So sense of self disappears unless you start to, and I believe that we need to live under the ancestral tenets, and I'll talk about that later. But things for men, as soon as you lose you get overweight and you lose your sense of self and you're stressed, because a lot of people are stressed, prostate health decreases. And with prostate health, low testosterone, my sense of self plummets again, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of daggers coming at you, isn't there? As soon as you hit that 40 mark,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think in all terms of your body's makeup, and there's almost that inbuilt deal with the body that when you're 25, 20, you can have babies and raise children, and then by the time you get to 35, 40, all bets are off. You're on your own. It wants to destroy you. So there is that. There's almost humanity is saying goodbye once you hit your 40s. So you've got to do what you can to dig your way out of that. And what are some general, just touching on some general guideline advice here for over 40s men and even women? You touched on that before about that age limit or that age area, postmenopausal women. What are they not doing, and what should they be sort of looking at doing?
Yeah, I think men over 40 and postmenopausal women, there's a 20-year gap, right? So and the people in these categories are facing different things. So men over 40 they unless they're looking after themselves, the prostate health is important. Erectile dysfunction is associated with self-esteem as well. Those two go hand in hand. So hormonal changes at 40, 45, 50 for men happens. Women sort of start hitting menopause, sort of perimenopause, mid-40s, and things change as well. So libido drops, weight gain, lack of motivation, all those things pull together. And unless you look at it from an objective perspective, you can, go down on that river and not do anything about it. And I think now I really believe that we're in a turning point in history where we've got the ability to stand and look at ourselves and go, okay, so I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that road. I'm going to go this road. What's available for me to support me in regaining my sense of who I am, my sexuality, my strength, my health. And there's a bit of commitment, I've got to look at the whole body rather than just the diet and exercise.
And we have so much available to us with internet, and access to different specialists and people who are really providing evidence and proof that they've actually been able to crack codes and without using those buzzwords, but able to bring stuff into the mix for us to look at and to try ourselves. And that's just it's so enlightening, it's so exciting, but also you can see the ones who have taken the river downstream, which is not the ideal way to go, that they're really suffering, and it hurts my heart, and I'm sure it does to you, for a lot of people who are at that plight. And what's the here's one for you. What's the and go as wacko as you can, because we just know each other now. But here's your chance to say.
Okay.
Hang
on, dear Steve.
Yeah, let's go. Let's rubbish these bastards. So the big food companies these days, in relation to promoting unsaturated fats and discouraging supplement use, but also pushing their own agendas towards grains and all the stuff that's on shelves and with packets. Give us a bit of a blast on what your thoughts are with that.
Okay. I really believe that if we follow the 9 ancestral tenets, we will veer away from, and we all know that big pharma, big food are all out to get us. Okay. So the big food companies are there to make as much money as possible. They don't really care about our health. They just want to sell food. And we're actually doing a campaign on foods that don't serve us at the moment with Homegrown Primal.
Cool.
Last month we did foods that did serve us, and the big one is processed foods. There's so much research on processed foods and mental health going hand in hand, that the foods that are designed to sit on the shelf for months or weeks aren't actually foods. They are processed so much that they sit on the shelf and stay fresh.
Geez.
They're in a packet. They're probably in plastic packets as well. They've been through a whole process. They've got preservatives, colorings, all those things that now we know are toxic to the human body, toxic to the body and toxic to the mind, that they are part of the big food is part of the way humans have got metabolically sick over the last 50 years.
So your research is you're doing your own research versus the research done through universities, which is usually funded by big food companies, isn't it? So your resources and budget's probably going to be a bit different.
My philosophy is eat local. So anything that's been on a plane, I don't eat. Even if it's imported pineapples from Australia, I don't eat them. I eat locally sourced food. And this is my soapbox preaching. If you want to stay healthy, you need to eat locally sourced food. So that's meat. That's from the neighbor next door or buy your own cattle beast. Milk, that's from the dairy farm. Local fruit. So what's the season? The season is spring. What fruit is available at the moment that's local? We've got a bit of citrus in the North Island, and there is it's berry season coming up. So strawberries and raspberries and things. So we are designed to eat seasonally. We're designed to eat in the late autumn, pears and apples to carry us through the winter. And those things also can also stay fairly okay in cold temperatures, so that we've got fruit through the winter.
Yeah.
And also, when I first started the carnivore, the idea of going through the supermarket, going around the outside of the aisles and not going in the middle is a good practice. Get your veggies, get your fruit, get your meat, get out as fast as you can.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And use cash.
And use cash.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So I really think that the big food and the big pharma are so detrimental to humans finding themselves again, that that would be my biggest message is don't go near them. Avoid this the big food, the processed foods.
Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, I'm with you all the way on that one. We've got some great local suppliers here in Toowoomba. Toowoomba in Queensland is some of the best country, I'd say, in Australia for growing fresh food. And its livestock is it's really, we've got some great butchers here as well. But it's so
simple.
Well, it is, but when you want to pull up the cover a little bit and find out a bit more of what is on the food, as in sprays or what's gone into the food, you've got to be a bit more selective about A, how you ask that question, but also B, making sure that it's that's really good and it hasn't been tampered with. Then you've got your food source, then you just got to go and get it. There's fuel costs and stuff associated with that. That's another conversation. But I mean, going down this fat, we used to be discouraged from having a lot of fat, especially during the 80s and 90s. I remember a lot of commercials was fat bad. So now why are we looking at this essential, why are we looking at fat as a necessity for our diet now?
Because fat is a primary fuel for the body. We, as babies, when we're born, we're in ketosis because we're only using fat as a fuel through the milk. And as soon as we start getting up onto our feet and getting other foods in our diet, generally most people feed their babies bananas and fruit, and so they're feeding them with foods that are high sugar. And so and as we've grown, we've lost the ability to use fat as a fuel. And so that's why the keto movement's so amazing, is that we can start kicking back into that energy system. And once your body starts using fat as a fuel, you've got this long, slow burn of energy rather than and I like to compare it to kindling. So you've got sugar as kindling. So you need lots of sugar often. And I remember back in the old days, it was, you've got to eat 6 times a day. because your energy levels go up and down and up and down, and that's the a surefire way of getting into a very unhealthy body. So using fat is a great fuel source, and if you're a carb fueled, it takes a bit of time to transition into using fat as a fuel. But then once you use fat as a fuel, you can use carbohydrates to target yourself during training if you need to. Yeah. And that's why Paul Saladino likes to use fruit and maple syrup in his diet, because he's primarily fueled by fat, and so am I. And every now and then I'll target whatever I'm training with some carbs, which would be fruit or honey.
Yeah, that's excellent, isn't it?
So that's one. The other thing about fat is fat feeds our brain. So our brain is fat, and we need the DHA and EPA in saturated fats to feed our brain, because we need to be alive, alert. We also need, and one of the things that's happening now in the generation ahead of us are dementia and Alzheimer's, all related to the polyunsaturated fats that we were feeding when the food pyramid sort of flipped over and vilified saturated fats. And so now we're at the end of, these old people are in their 80s and 90s, and a lot of them have got dementia and Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease. That's happening, now, and with people in their 60s. So
it's a bloody crime, Janet. It's a crime. And I think
it is a crime, but we're here to change it.
I saw a stat the other day. It was a report. I think it was a 2050 health report, a world one, and it was something bizarre. Like, it was amazing. Like, 70, 60, like big numbers of percent of people, particular age group, getting some sort of dementia or Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease later into their years. Do you think they're scratching their heads with all their money and thinking, oh, well, this is coming, so we better make sure we put out campaigns around it? But where's all the funding going towards this type of language and these type of conversations? It's but that's what we're changing. All the little keto people and all the people who are I wouldn't say on this bandwagon, but really chanting this need for education and obviously getting trust and helping people through the transition of moving from that glucose fast-fed state into more of a keto fat-fed state, and kind of quashing a lot of the information that we've sort of garbled up for the last, how many
it's definitely our job, Steve. When you've got that, when you're holding on to the lightning, you've got that charge that you want to preach and teach this truth. It's very important that we stand up and keep going with it, because people need to know. We need to educate and teach people around, being fat fueled and eating well and avoiding toxic foods.
Amen, sister. Loving it. So what are the benefits that we can derive from a meat-based diet?
Okay.
And how does that compare to plant-based diets or your general healthy eating with grains and carbs? Because there's a little bit going on here. There's keto, carnivore. There's the kind of the vegan-based diet, I guess, or the people who are not into meat. And you've got those who are on the general diet too. So I can mix and match between keto and carbs, but I'll never do that in the meat. So it was a long question, but what can we sort of derive from more of this meat-based diet versus what we're commonly eating?
So there are a number of factors that plants don't have, and one of them is choline. So choline is part of our methylation system, which helps us to create energy. So that's one thing. We need choline. We need B12, which is another thing that plants don't have naturally. So people who are taking removing meat from their diet and just having a plant-based diet, you're going to be deficient in those things. And they're also going to be deficient in protein, which is really essential as we age, that we have enough protein in our diets that we maintain our muscle density.
That's right. So that's great. I love this. This is so good. Choline, protein. Protein I get. and my viewers will get protein because we need that for our muscle, we need that for our brains. It's going to stop us from being frail old men, women as well. It's going to stop us having falls, all those things. Choline. So why is that important?
It's a peptide. And what happens is it's part of the system of, okay, so I've got some protein and my body needs to convert it to muscle and also, muscle, right? So that's, and I'm honestly not a chemist or a scientist, and I don't understand the way it works, but all I know is that if it's not present, the body can't make muscle, especially if the protein is plant-based. So we need protein that's animal-based. So it's mammalian tissue. Like we've evolved from a caveman who living on mammalian tissue, whether it was initially we were scavengers, then we started eating our own meat, and then we started cooking it. Our stomach acid is 1.4, so it's incredibly acidic. It's designed to eat muscle tissue and get the best out of it. We're not hind gut fermenters like a lot of the other primates. Our gut is designed to eat meat. So when it comes to plants, we don't have the ability, and that's why people with a plant-based diet are very gassy, because it's all fermenting in their gut. Whereas when you're eating an animal-based diet, you don't fart, for starters.
Sorry. Yeah, I did fart a bit myself, actually. So yeah, thanks for the reminder.
Generally don't fart, but people who are on a vegan and vegetarian diet with high grains and legumes and a lot of fiber creates a lot of gas in the gut.
Which is there's obviously going to be some sort of link there to cancer as well.
Well, there's link to leaky gut. You know, if you're having a lot of fiber and leafy greens and gluten in the grain, it tends to open up the gut fibers and then you're into trouble, really, if your gut's leaky.
Wow.
Lots of different.
So there's a really good strong argument there for why first you're our ancestral DNA, and also what our body, chemically, how that process works and what we should be relying on more so rather than grains and plants.
It also comes back to fasting and intermittent fasting. If you are eating a nutrient-dense diet, if you've got high fat, high protein in your diet, you don't need to eat a whole lot of food, right? It's like 100 grams worth of steak twice a day, or 3 eggs and a steak. That's all you need, because it's incredibly nutrient dense. Instead of having a plate full of salad and another plate full of salad and then another plate full of salad, it's just very it's bulky. There's a lot of fiber, and it's hard on your gut it's hard on your body to get the nutrients out of it. It just makes sense to me.
It does, doesn't it? It's almost like, what's my best bang for buck here? And this is the time I have to eat it, because I'm short on time, and I'm going to use that for a reason why I can't get a lot of things done.
Yeah.
There's almost that, in a sense of, if you're saying you don't have a lot of time, well then don't have a lot of time. Pick something that's going to be high in nutrients, and it's going to deliver the best outcome for you. Can you tell us a bit about the supplementation that you've gotten into now, and how that's kind of evolved, and what the direction is with that as well? It's a bit more about your mission. So can you tell us a bit more about that? I'm excited to listen.
I've learned a lot about glandular therapy, and it started in the 30s with Weston Price. It was looking at the way Indigenous tribes were, as far as their teeth went, and their overall health. And the Indigenous tribes, primarily the ones that he looked at, most Indigenous tribes aren't vegetarian. They all have a meat-based diet. And so further into the study was that like supports like. So whatever corresponding organ is fed to maybe an ill person, someone who wasn't well, they'd feed them that organ if they had heart problems, or if they had liver problems or whatever it was, they would feed, the tribal people would feed that part of the body of the animal to the person, and it would contribute to their getting on the wellness path.
Bloody hell! So they
Very
know this.
long-winded
They
and
know this. Gee, that's
truncated answer.
crazy. It's great.
But and further, you know, as humans have grown and the understanding of glands has developed, we now know that if we take the organ, like I want to use brain as an example, if you take the brain of an animal and eat it, you will get a whole lot better in your brain. Like they've studied it with radioisotopes. They've looked at the tissue going into the human body and seen that with the brain, the myelin sheath has got stronger. I'm talking in real layman's terms here because I don't understand the science of it, but I know that it like supports like.
That's so cool, isn't it? It's like you want you want a smarter brain, eat brain.
Yeah. So we've got. I just have to show you this one here. This is. Yeah. Can you see that?
Oh, I only just give back your background. Yeah, they're Mojo.
So that's Mojo.
Yep.
So that's our woman's product. So like supports like. This has got uterine tissue in it. It's got ovaries. It's got placenta. It's got spleen, and it's got mammary in it. So it supports women at every stage of their lives, premenopausal, postpartum, women who want to get pregnant. Women have been using this to target their reproductive system and balance their hormones, and it works, which is quite exciting.
God, what about all the other products out there who claim similar things? I'm sure they're going to sell you more than one bottle for all that.
It's Mojo. It's mumbo jumbo apparently, but it works. And so many women have gone, okay, so I'm not having any hot flushes anymore. My periods have got regular again. I've got pregnant because I've been on your product. And my menopause the symptoms have dropped. Like, I'm not saying that it's the perfect answer to not having hormone replacement therapy, because some women go through menopause and it's really horrific. But a lot of our women just swear by Mojo. The other thing that it does, and because as we age, our libido drops, and our the ability to I don't know whether I want to say
get Randy.
I'm going to say lubrication. It helps with that as well, like natural arousal. It helps that as well. So,
and are they actually people reporting that? I guess in a confidential sense, they're saying, "Look, I'm getting." Isn't that incredible?
It's so amazing. And every time I hear of a if someone says a review or sends me an email about their successes, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And this
changing relationships, supplement, this is and they're changing the way they're eating. All of a sudden their relationship starts changing because they're also preparing food together, they're sitting together. They're switching off their devices and really
they're also sharing the benefits together, and that makes for a better human, it makes for a better relating, it makes for a better, happier world, and really that's what we want.
Oh God, that's I could end right there. We've only got a few more minutes. I've got a couple more questions to ask you.
Okay.
And so I'm a man. The guys listening on my program, and by all means, men, share this with women, because I really want you to look at some of these products that Primal Growth have. And men, what would they do to get an understanding of where they're at with their own I guess assessment, their self-assessment on how much fat they need, where they're low, what they need to do. So there is an assessment piece, but there's also a supplementation piece with food. How do we combine all that together, do you think?
So we know that if we're eating nose to tail, which is which is part of the carnivore idea, is that we need to eat nose to tail. So these beautiful animals that God has given us have got all this incredible meat and fat, all in the right ratio for us to eat. They also have the organs. So if you were going to take a percentage of liver away from the total animal, it's a very small amount. So it's about 100 grams of liver a week, as that's all you need for all your extra. I know that there's guys like Sean Baker who'll go, I don't eat any organs, and the man's a machine, which is cool. I really swear by liver every day, and with being able to supplement it. Like some people will freeze liver and have a small block of frozen liver every day. I really like having it in a capsule because it's easy to eat. I can take it when I'm traveling and have it every day. It's super easy. And I wrote a blog about it a couple of weeks ago about microdosing. And I believe that we're microdosing our organ supplements because it gives us a foundation of health. It gives us a platform that we can start from rather than having to, like I always do this, like this is the platform. The average person is here nutritionally. If you're having good supplementation and a good diet, you start from here. So you're healthy, your immune system's great, your libido's up, your frame of mind is amazing. You know, all those things. This is where we start. This is our starting point. And if you are supporting your starting point with a great diet and supplementation of organ supplements, then this is where you start from. And it's super easy, like 6 a day, or I don't know how many I take, probably 20 a day.
Oh, wow. But you know, God, this is just almost a little bit contradictory, the fact that, okay, I want to get fit. Okay, I've got to go to the gym and I've got to start having protein powder. And you know, what else is going to happen? Yeah, I saw something on stretching the other day. I should do some stretching. I should do some recovery. That's my little box. That's my box that I'm normally ticking to say that I'm doing something. But I get these guys rebounding back. I've got, you know, currently got a couple of hundred people wanting to do my next challenge, and the same common denominator comes up. I'm lack of energy. I'm overweight. I feel like rubbish. And you know, a few people said my relationships have been affected. So all these common problems, and they're going back to the same darn solution, and not really going, right, I need to get my foundations right. So their assessment tool on themselves, could it be more so related to, look, I've just got to start cleaning up what I eat and look at more so using more fats and using supplementation as a way to start off on the right path? That's Absolutely. The way to start fixing themselves, isn't it?
I think my first advice would be to get into their kitchen cupboards and their fridge and get rid of all the crap. You know, give them a week without alcohol if they're drinkers, or maybe some goal setting around that. Getting up an hour earlier and sitting in meditation is massive. And sitting in the quiet, or doing some kind of breath practice, or like this morning I did 45 minutes of Kundalini yoga, which I absolutely love, and then I cold plunged, and I freaking hated it, but I loved it. You know, it's like, okay, so if I push myself, if I hear that little voice of procrastination and go, because I could have stayed in bed, that is the time where I get myself out of bed. Like when I feel myself going, I could stay here for another hour. No, I'm getting up. Get your fat ass out of bed and get on the mat.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's what I do. And it's so much better. So that's the piece, Steve, where you have to, I don't know how you entice people to get out of bed early, or get on their yoga mats to do some breath work or some stretching, or whatever lights them up in the morning.
Yeah. And you know, I have a process inside Fitter After 40 with my clients in the program. It's like you have to get up at the same time every day. It's a no-brainer. You have to, you know, you can use the Maui principle. Today's going to be a great day. Come from James Clear, Atomic Habits. Those sort of things are really important. So that's starting your day. But then looking at, okay, I'm not going to go for cereal. I'm going to go for supplements. So that's how I'm going to start my day. I'm going to start my day with some part of the animal. And then what am I going to do for the rest of my fats and proteins? Well, if keto is my new type of way of eating, and I'm using fasting as well, throughout the day, if I'm doing a 16 and 8, I'm not going to eat until lunchtime. So I've got my supplements in the morning. Is that supplements going to break my fast?
No, no,
And why is that?
because they're so small. So if you're using say Boost, our liver supplement,
Mm.
it's 3,000 milligrams. That's the dose.
Mm. That's not a great deal, is it?
So no, no, but you're getting the nutrients. And if you are in the habit of doing your like not eating till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if you're an intermittent faster, you're not hungry. So you might want to keep your supplements until lunchtime, and have like a bone broth in the morning. Bone broth in the morning is great to have.
Mm.
And if you're a coffee drinker, coffee or tea or whatever you're having. But because your diet is so nutrient dense, you're not, well, from personal experience, because I don't usually eat until 1, I don't eat till 1 because I'm not hungry.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
When all those people out there, guys who work in construction or work on the land, they've got to fly planes, for example, over here in Australia, they've got to drive trucks, operate heavy machinery. There's almost like this, oh, well, I've got to concentrate. What am I going to do? So how do we sort of get, I know we're going into more coaching here, and I don't want to waver off track on the main topic, but how can we open that door quickly for them to go get off what you're doing and get onto intermittent fasting, get onto some this eating healthy fats supplementation? How do we get them through the door quickly on that?
Maybe it's making sure that their eating window suits their lifestyle. So instead of going, well, one size fits all, it's not true. Maybe these people would need breakfast and need to have a high protein breakfast and then stop eating at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So they've got that eating window further in the morning rather than in the evening. So, and I really believe that everything that every process we take on, every practice, it needs to suit our lifestyle. So, some people practice in the afternoon, or they do a meditation before they go to bed, and some people do it in the morning. So, we're as varied as we are foods, really.
Yeah, that's a great response. It's so good to talk to you. And we're talking about before about assessment. So we've got a bit of an assessment in order to self-assess. I'm feeling low, I'm feeling crappy, I'm overweight. So we've been given some insights into what we could start doing with supplementation, even with our own processes, getting ourselves up and active. How can we get onto your supplements if we're looking at this and going, right, I want a trusted source. I want to purchase from a company from New Zealand, which is going out of Australia. But anyway, we can do that. How do we do this? How do we do this? And what's the real call to action for the guys out there and their partners?
I was just wondering, do you take bloods? Do you do a blood profile with your clients?
I do. Yeah, we do. We do a full blood profile. Which one specifically will you?
I don't know. I would say something that's going to test your iron, your testosterone levels, HDL, LDL, all those sort of basic, because that's always a great start. And then from there you can target different supplements for, like if they've got low T, I'd definitely take Manpower, because that's got testes and heart and liver in it. And if they've got low B12, we definitely need to get on to having liver every day, because it's a superfood, and
we used to give our dogs testes when we were doing lamb marking, and even some old guys used to work for us used to eat testes and brains. We're like, oh, that's disgusting, but yeah, God, isn't it funny how and they would have observed that from many men they worked with and families in the 50s and 60s and way before then too. So it's interesting how times change. So get an assessment done. Does that marry up with potentially the supplement that I need to take?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a collections tab on the website where we've got a number of different supplements for things like health and wellness, relaxation, healing. So if one of your clients presents with some specific targeted things that need to be healed, then that's the road that you would go down. So if they had joint pain or some kind of injury that needed recovery from, then I'd go down maybe more of a collagen boost, a collagen liver supplement. If they were presenting with thyroid issues, we've got a beautiful thyroid mix, which is thyroid and liver. Notice there's a liver coming in every time you take a supplement. You've got to take your liver. And then the other thing is like if I've got brain fog, if I'm really struggling with my mind and I'm forgetting stuff, then I would take Ignition, which is our brain product, and liver together.
So these are really the essential minerals that we're going
Vitamins
to be extracting from. There. So there's a combination here, isn't there?
Yeah.
A
lot of the other the supplement companies that are in the States who use New Zealand grass-fed organs often have liver as the base. And so when we created the company, we decided that it would be better that we could have the organs separate, so that the clients or the people who are taking our product could go, well, I want the brain and I want the liver together, or I want the thyroid and I want the liver together. So I want kidney and I want liver together. So you can buy them individually. So it's more targeted for the individual rather than I'm going to have a hair, skin, nails one. Yeah.
That's great. And there's going to be a downloadable PDF that guys can grab onto below this video, available, that you can go and get your bloods done. And then as a result of that blood test, you'll be able to see what areas you're deficient in, or even areas that you're in the normative range for. Then you can take that result. You can go onto Primal Growth's website, and you can then select a product that you want to do. That's our offer to you, and I think it's going to be a great and
if
start.
If anyone wants to give me a call or an email, I'm totally open to the conversation, because I love what we do and I love to see people thriving and living their best lives. So
it's no wonder you're busy. No wonder the product is going well, and I'm so happy for you. And it's so great to connect with you. Thank you so much for your time, Janet.